how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?
Too many.
Okay, now 5 is a lot, right? I'm gonna give you some credit. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
John Solomon's reporting on Just the News that he's passed. Yes, is this what I'm hearing? Yes, can I get it here?
I mean,
Yes.
Yes. Wow. Right here, Rav, at this moment, guys. Let's go around the horn, Gene. You continue on the horrendous news that Charlie Kirk has passed.
This is breaking news at 31 years old. Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point, most notably on the biggest or tied with biggest Jubilee video in the 1 versus 20 series, political commentator, friend of Donald Trump. A lot of people on our side of the internet know him as an antagonizer, has passed away doing one of his prove me wrongs at the University of Utah. Yeah, eerie nonetheless. What started off as seemingly one of his normal videos where he goes to the college campuses where he talks to these kids and has his debates and spreads his message, etc., etc. Couldn't have ended out any way worse than this. I mean, this is the most craziest example of what can go wrong at these events. Before we get to the part where he was slain, it was going just as a normal day would. He was talking about his usual rhetoric, deportation, trans people, DEI, etc., etc. Literally the same normal Charlie Kirk bit.
Is it? Yes, is that fair to say? All right, great. So do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?
Too many.
It's 5. Okay, now 5 is a lot, right? I'm gonna give you
And this was only moments before he got to the question, which would ultimately be the last one that was posed to Charlie Kirk, where someone asked him, do you know how many mass shooters there have been in the last 10 years in the United States? In which Charlie responded, is this counting or not counting gun violence? Before the fatal shot was delivered to his neck, which left him slumped over in his chair. Now, of course, I'm not going to show you anything on this video that is graphic. And I just want to give anybody a fair warning who does go and seek that video out. It is extremely graphic. Like, there's a video of him, the bullet entering his neck, blood spurting. Like, describing it in and of itself is graphic, but I just want to give a warning and a fair warning to anybody that goes out and seeks that video. It's graphic. You just have been warned. Pandemonium commenced. They rushed him off to the hospital, and there was a lot of speculation, but those that had seen the uncensored version kind of had a very good clue about it. And what seemed to be maybe an hour or two later, he was officially pronounced dead at the hospital. Confirmation came down from some right-wing media reports, but then ultimately the one that I went with and saw that I trusted, which is crazy to say, but Donald Trump tweeting it out was the actual reporting that, had me going. And some of the other political commentators like Myron Gaines and whatnot, those are the people that had me believing that this was to be true, plus the actual video in and of itself.
Yeah, so I'm the chairman of the College Republicans of America. I had 5 students working the event with Charlie. The latest updates we're getting from those students, one whose friend is at the hospital and one who's a state rep in Utah, have both said that Charlie has passed. And that is unconfirmed by the news. This is just the word on the ground.
As I record this video, the suspect is still at large. I know that people saw that old Bernie Sanders looking man that was in custody, but apparently that was not the man who did this said event. Apparently the shot came from like 200 yards away, and that person wasn't close enough or something like that, or 200 feet away, I should say. That person wasn't in that proximity, so they let them go. But the shooter is still at large. And as far as I understand now, there's also another shooting that happened in Colorado. So just a bad day in Utah as a whole, where multiple people are either being seen as casualties or fatalities. It's not like any good news coming out of this, depending on which side of the internet you sit on. There have been a lot of mixed reactions about Charlie Kirk in this situation on the internet, because Charlie Kirk is an extremely divisive person.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal.
And I could go down a clip rabbit hole of all the stuff that Charlie Kirk stood for and was against. I mean, black people, gay people, Hispanic people, immigrants. You know, there was some stuff about women. He is one of the people that are on the same side of a Myron Gaines, of a Nick Fuentes. Just an extremely divisive person. And it's so crazy to say that he still lost his life, but that has the internet, and I don't want to say a conflicted area, because parts of the internet are truly, truly, truly celebratory. Some of this stuff I'm not going to be able to cover on this platform. I suggest that you subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Omizi, where I will be able to give my unfiltered thoughts on situations like this. My just surface level is that you cannot tell people how to feel when somebody passes away. I don't like to get into the conversation of, well, this is a life that was lost. Those are emotions. To somebody, this person was one thing, and to somebody else, that person was a whole nother thing, right? This person was a bad guy to you, but a savior to, you know, their kinfolk. So I'm not in the place and space where I can tell people how to feel about a situation, what to celebrate or what not to celebrate. And I do think that it's wrong for people to say, you know, you're bad for celebrating, or you're bad for feeling this way about this person, X, Y, and Z, et cetera, especially when you have such a polarizing digital footprint. The interesting thing about all this is now there are people who are advocates on the side of, you know, guns don't belong in schools, that are going to have to go up for Charlie Kirk. I think it's like one of those catch-22 situations, because he ultimately did pass away on school grounds, where people would say, like, you know, guns shouldn't be allowed, we should have gun reform. And he, who is somebody who has been staunchly against gun reform, is going to be used as a symbol or a talking point for the short time being, to say, like, this is the exact reason why we need gun reform, for a guy that is, you know, anti-gun reform. People are going to have their arms twisted. That's just a fascinating conversation.
I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up new age term that it does a lot of damage. But
look, I don't want this to be some sort of long video where I go into some rambly spiel about the situation, because we just have the surface level information about this, plus the entire back catalog of what Charlie Kirk has. But I do want to pose the question to other content creators who are along the similar sphere of Charlie Kirk, and potentially the others that don't have the same beliefs but also are very free, readily available to the public. Is this going to affect how you move going forward? Are you going to change up your patterns, your ideologies, your beliefs, your faith, and all that stuff, because it can cost you your life?
I actually had a debate set up for tomorrow in Asheville, North Carolina.
Are you still going to go to your event? Or are you going to cancel it?
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
Myron, you gotta cancel it, bro.
I would advise to cancel it, because
cancel it.
Myron, cancel it. Can't be doing this anymore. You can't put yourself at risk.
Yeah, I literally I just got this info like 10 minutes ago, so I you know, obviously I'm still kind of figuring out what the hell's going on. I didn't even really think about Asheville until you guys brought it up.
Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have morals and, you know, you don't want to die on a certain hill. This is something worth dying on. But all that stuff sounds great in theory, when especially the stuff that he was championing was more so meant for social media views and clicks. It would be different if he was marching for a different cause or whatever the case may be. But this is ultimately for social media views. And at the end of it all, he has 2 children that are just left without a father, something that he would be very staunchly against. So to those that do these certain things, especially out in public, you know, the ones that go and set up tables and stuff like that and try to have public debates knowing that they are easily locatable and people are searching for them based off of their views, would you change what you do? Even to an sh0t. Granted, Speed doesn't have some of the insane takes that Charlie Kirk has. His digital footprint looks nothing like his. But are you going to change being so readily available based off of the events that transpired today? I do think that it's worth looking into, because honestly, removing yourself from like your village and your family because you wanted to generate a bunch of clicks and views by being so outwardly, God, I want to use the right words here, so outwardly outrageous, you know, hyperbolic and so click driven that you want to get a point across. I don't know if it's worth it at the end of the day. In fact, I would say without a shadow of a doubt that it's not worth it. Like, sure, he might have moved the needle in a conversation or two when it came to maybe some more conservative viewpoints, but ultimately his kids are left without this. I wonder how this shapes the conversation when it comes to politics and the whole political climate. That's a video in and of itself, but this is so strange. These are fresh thoughts. Patreon.com to get some deeper in-depth thoughts. Charlie Kirk, 31. Wow.